These main characters may have been unlucky in our world, but they got overpowered, got the girls, and surprised everyone in an isekai world. Here are the 10 best Isekai Harem anime where the main character is overpowered and surprises everyone. 10 loner life in another world.
小田たちに謝るまで生きる技と知識を教えてください。私たちに罪を償う力を、恩を返す力をお願いします。はい。We seriously need to stop transporting entire classes to isekai worlds. But that is exactly what happens. Haruka has spent his high school years as a loner, but one day, he and his classmates are suddenly transported to another world. A god gives them a list of skills to choose from, but by the time Haruka gets his turn, all the good ones are already taken. Frustrated, Haruka complains to God, who gets annoyed and gives him all the leftover useless skills. Now, armed with the loner skill, Haruka sets off on a lonely journey in this strange new world. The moral of the story is never to complain about what you get, but we aren't here for the morals. Haruka may be a loner, but he gets overpowered enough to kick ass. And like every isekai with an overpowered protagonist, this loner manages to get the girls too. Also, Angelica is the best girl of the show. 9. The Aristocrat's Otherworldly Adventure. シルク、何があったの？本当に何でもないよ。カイン君と今度デートするって話してただけだもんね。カイン様とデートですって。
Do you want some overpowered protagonist, wholesome vibes, and some cute character designs? Then, this is the anime for you. Shina Kazuya dies while trying to save a girl, but he gets reincarnated into a fantasy world. Now, he's Cain von Silford, the third son of a noble family. Life's busy for him. He has to ace his schoolwork, get blessings at church, and of course, deal with his harem. It's your classic isekai anime. A guy gets a second chance in another world, complete with special powers and a harem. But this one has a wholesome vibe. There's no epic, world-ending crisis, just a chill, feel-good story about a guy figuring things out and winning over the girls. 8. I got a cheat skill in another world and became unrivaled in the real world too. Sure, this might not shove isekai straight at your face, but our main character has a past related to an isekai world. Usually guys who end up in fantasy worlds never come back, and honestly, why would they? Fantasy worlds are way cooler, but imagine a guy who returns from one, then decides to dominate, win over girls, and basically do all the things an overpowered anime hero usually does. This show packs everything you'd expect from an OP high school anime into one place. And guess what? It's actually pretty good. Sure, it's wish fulfillment, but when it's done right, who's complaining? If you're into fast-paced action, a badass main character, and at least 5 epic flexes per episode, this is for you. Just don't mistake it for your typical isekai. 7. Farming life in another world. If you can't get girls in real life, then maybe you should do some farming. At least that works in an isekai world. Unlike most anime main characters in shows like this, Hiraku has just one goal: to live a healthy and peaceful life. Why? Because in his past life, he died of an illness, and his last wish was, alright, I'm going vegan, and I'm going to remain healthy. So he decides to be a farmer. Farming life in another world delivers exactly what it promises. It's about farming, and that's it. That's why it works so well as a slice of life anime. It's not about a farmer turning into a soldier and fighting wars. It's about showing that even a farmer can get the girls. Honestly, anime main characters these days are way too lucky. Oh, and for anyone who thinks farmers cannot be OP, you'll be in for a surprise. 6. Black Summoner. If you want to deal with overpowered transmigrations, then this is your thing. Waking up in a strange place with no memory of his past, Kelvin finds out he traded those memories for incredible powers when he was brought to this new world. Now a summoner, his first companion is none other than the goddess who summoned him. Now he needs to start an adventure with the goddess and face many epic battles along the way. Black Summoner is your standard isekai, but with a nice roster of girls and a main character who is way more interesting than your traditional main characters. At first, it might seem like a generic power fantasy, but the main character's ability to summon things and the way the story uses this power system was what made this stand out for me, so check it out. 5. The reincarnation of the strongest exorcist in another world.
元最強が言うことなんだけどな。水の層、幕府の術。なんだこの魔力には。
This is why you shouldn't betray strong exorcists. This is about Haruyoshi Kuga, an exorcist betrayed in his previous life by the imperial government. But in his dying moments, he uses a secret technique to be reincarnated as a powerful exorcist. And now, he isn't going to make the same mistake twice. He decides to find peace in life, but also be cunning enough to evade any political schemes. Most of the main characters in this list are all about being overpowered while getting the harem. But how about being overpowered and cunning while getting the harem? This show honestly handles the whole reincarnation trope really well. The female side characters also kind of stand out thanks to their unique personalities, so give this a go. 4. Tales of Wedding Rings.
よくわかんねえけどこうすればいいんだな。
Tales of Wedding Rings is a show that promises not to be epic and mind-blowing, but instead promises to deliver what it promised to deliver. In this case, more girls, more fan service, and a badass main character. The story's all about Satu, your average high school guy who's been head over heels for his mysterious childhood friend Haim ever since she moved in next door. Things take a wild turn when they're magically sent to a parallel world where Haim becomes a queen candidate. Then, Satu shows up at her wedding, crashes it, grabs the ring, and makes her his bride. That's a lot of coincidences, but that's what makes it so fun. You've got one crazy thing after the other, and for a harem show, the production quality is actually pretty good. The animation, the character designs, the focus on world building, it's also good. Even the fan service moments are handled really well. 3. In Another World with My Smartphone.
砂よ来たれ盲目の写真ブラインドサンド
This is a bit of an old show, but season 2 landed recently, so if you haven't watched it, now's a good time. What's the best smartphone in the world? It's definitely not the priciest one. It's the one gifted to an anime character by none other than God himself. When God accidentally kills 15-year-old Tuya Mochizuki, he sends him to a new world with a special smartphone. This isn't your average phone. It helps you fight bad guys, learn magic, and even attract a harem. God also boosts Tuya's magical and physical powers. With his new abilities, Tuya starts an epic journey in a fantasy world, making plenty of friends, most of them girls, of course. If you're into overpowered heroes carrying smartphones and thrilling adventures with most of the party members consisting of girls, then don't miss this one. 2. Eminence in Shadow.
遊びは終わりだ精一杯やってみようと思うからどうか受け取ってほしい
なんだこれはなんなんだお前は I'm Atomic
は
If you're a power fantasy lover like me, then you should absolutely watch this show. What do you want? A huge harem of girls ready to follow the main character to death? A main character so overpowered he can nuke a city within a matter of seconds? Or a show that blends sarcasm, action, and comedy so well you don't know if the writers are trying to be extra edgy or parody every isekai trope in existence? This show centers on Sid Kaganu, a mastermind who's great at pulling strings and coming up with clever, evil schemes to steer the story exactly how he wants. After being reborn in a magical world, he's on a mission to prove he's the ultimate eminence in shadow. Trust me, my descriptions cannot do justice for the show, so make sure to check it out. 1. Mushoku Tensei.
もっといろいろ話しておきたかった
Do you want to know the great-grandfather of all isekai stories? It's Mushoku Tensei, and it's pretty much what started the whole isekai fantasy harem trend. And heck, it might not look like it, but Rudeus is one of the most powerful mages of all time. Mushoku Tensei is about an otaku who wasted his previous life, but then gets reincarnated into a fantasy world. And now, he needs to find a way to live his new life better than his last. I love fantasy anime, but I'm usually not into isekai. Then Mushoku Tensei came along and totally changed my mind. It's not a perfect show, but it has awesome characters, a fantastic world, intense moments, funny moments, and even some weird ones, and all of that made me fall in love with this series. It is a show that defines the isekai genre and something that combines drama and fantasy so well. If you haven't watched it yet, then watch it now because you're missing out on a lot.